not only are you getting more parts per insert, which is easy to understand, you're also not having to change that insert as often. So stopping the production and going in there and changing the insert happens 3 times less. And both of those things add up to really, really save a lot of time in the end.
Mitch, thank you so much for allowing us to come into Toolcraft today and talk Citizen. I see that you have 7 beautiful machines. Some are so bright and shiny that I can barely look at them. So you're doing a great job keeping this facility clean, which I think when we're talking dull, dirty, dangerous of manufacturing, you're already breaking that mold. But let's focus on Citizen. To my knowledge, you guys have been around since about 1990 and have really focused on aerospace parts being a big manufacturing component of what you guys do. So let's talk about the Swiss machining of things and why Citizen for your style of work.
Yeah, so Citizen, they're great for high production. We use them for high mix at times, but really they're geared toward high production. We can do a wide variety of parts with them. We can make some parts with the guide bushing that are really hard to make with other machines. And then they're just very reliable. So they stay in the cut for us. We've got our oldest machine is 2007. It's still in the cut. It's still making parts. You saw it earlier. And then our newest machine is right behind us here, and they all stay in the cut. So Citizen's been great for us.
Reliable, much like yourself, I might add, getting to know you a bit better. On top of that, have you ever experienced an opportunity where you said, I could probably do more operations inside of one machine? I myself used to run parts and would go one machine, op 10, another machine, op 20, another machine, op 30. But that was back in the day when real estate was a little less expensive and I had more space in my shop. Have you had the ability to take multiple operations from multiple machines, combine it into one on the Citizen machine?
Yeah, so there's been many times where that's happened, where we've got an old legacy project and we make a lathe blank and we bring it over to a mill, maybe pop in a couple holes, bring it to another mill, maybe put it on an indexer, rotate it around to put in some more features. And with the Citizens, especially with the L32 recently, we've taken quite a complex part from 4 operations all the way from what we call bar to part out. Bar in, part out. And when you do that, the build process is simplified. There's less moving parts, there's less processes, so there's less things to go wrong. And then at the end, you have less time into the part and the part quality is better. It's both of those things. So we've seen that time and time again.
Well, Mitch, our audience always loves to see actual components. Do you happen to have a component as an example of taking multitasking from several different machines, saving that real estate space, which is extremely expensive, popping it onto one machine today that we can take a look at?
Yeah, so we had a component, I had it here in my pocket prepared. So this component has quite a few different, quite a few operations. It's got some mill flats on it, it's got a bore on the backside, some off-axis slots. And this part was in mind when we bought our first L32 because this was bigger than we could run in our previous L20s. 20 millimeter wasn't quite enough for us. So when we bought that first L32, this was kind of the principal project for that machine. And it did allow us to go straight from bar to a complete part. And a few other features of the Citizen machine that we used on this part was the LFV. I know Citizen and Spinetti had been talking about LFV and how we could use it. Really on this part here, it wasn't too complicated because there's a lot of material to rough off here from the 1.25" bar stock, and LFV on that rougher tripled the tool life. And tripled the tool life is not only are you getting more parts per insert, which is easy to understand, you're also not having to change that insert as often. So stopping the production and going in there and changing the insert happens 3 times less. And both of those things add up to really, really save a lot of time in the end.
Part quality, and going back to your statement about reliability, I've also had the privilege to walk around your shop and I see tons of CMM. I also know that Swiss machining is known to make you money as long as it's running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, spitting those parts out. You've already mentioned to me the importance of those things, right? And so you're having that success as well. You're measuring all of these components and working in aerospace. Now, let's be fair a little bit. There's some components in aerospace where the tolerances they require are not really the tolerances that are necessary, but there are some components that are difficult. The materials are difficult. The tolerances are tight as can be. Even some of the super alloys out there. Do these machines hold up to both the tolerances, the reliability, and the harder materials?
Yeah, so a recent project that comes to mind was heat-treated 718 Inconel. We honestly don't have a lot of experience with that metal. We know it's hard, we know it's tough, but we put it on the L32, and it performed great. We were able to make the part complete. We weren't sure we were going to be able to do that. We did have grinding planned into the operation, but we didn't need to grind it because the machine was able to hold the spec. And we really had no issues with tool wear. We had no issues with like machines breaking down, running out of power, anything like that. And it really was a testament for how powerful and how reliable the machines are. It really blew us away.
Mitch, you seem to me like a pretty creative guy. Knowing you, you've been in this industry a long time. You started very young. Your father was in charge of this facility. So you seem quite creative and seeing the evolution of what's happened here at Toolcraft. And I've seen some of your parts that are popping off of these machines. They're not round. They look like they should be mill parts. Are you getting creative inside of these machines and utilizing them for more than just round parts as well?
Yeah, for sure. So many parts we see come in, if they fit within a 20 millimeter circle for the 20 millimeter machines or a 32 on these 32s, whether they're round or not, we definitely consider parts to go into these machines because they work just fine to grip odd shapes. And the benefit that you get is that whole bar in machine or finished part coming out the end. And when we can do that, whether round or not, we will definitely try to do that.
Knowing that you came from your dad's legacy and seeing what you've been able to create here, I know that, and because you're a family man and your father's a family man and you have a lot of brothers and sisters as well, it's important, I would imagine, to have good relationships in your life, right?
Yes.
And the relationships you have with the local dealer here, can we talk a little bit about how that relationship evolved and what they mean to you here in your region?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So Spinetti Machinery means a lot to us. Paige Spinetti came out in 2003 to start with, was hassling my father because he knew that we were making parts that would be better on a Citizen than what we were making, what machines we were using previously, and purchased our first L20 in 2007, and he was right. I mean, Paige was right. And ever since then, if there have been problems, there's always going to be problems in a production environment like this, but when those problems have come up, they've been resolved consistently. And so it's such a strong relationship for us between Citizen, Spinetti, and us that we really will not consider going anywhere else. I mean, it really is that strong. And we know that because we've seen the other side of the coin. And we don't want to go there. And if we have a good relationship that we know works really, really well, we'd be fools to move off of that. We're absolute fools.
So would you join me in discussion, Mitch, where we talk about the importance of service and support, even to the point where when something goes down, we're losing money, we're stressed out, and you actually have an incredible story about Spinetti coming in on holidays to make sure, because as we know, it does happen. Whether the machine is the best on the planet, it's a job shop, it's a machine shop, things can happen. Would you mind sharing that real quick story about how Spinetti has supported you in a very unique situation?
Yeah, so this is our second machine. It was a K16. We bought this machine for one specific project, and we don't buy a machine for a project and then accept downtime. We're buying a machine because we need to run it. So this is only about 3 months into after machine ownership, and the Y-axis ball screw went out, and can't run the machine with that. So Monty, the service tech, came out. It happened to be Memorial Day weekend, which is not necessarily the most opportune time. It rarely is. But what ended up happening there was the machine was back up and running in the cut Tuesday the next week, which for that large of a project is phenomenal. That's far exceeds our expectations. And we did have some concerns about a new machine having that large of a problem. So Paige stepped in, said, yeah, that's understood, gave us an extra year of machine warranty. Fortunately, we didn't need to use that, but it really was. It showed a level of commitment from Spinetti and from Citizen to have the parts available for us to get us back up and running. And that at the end of the day, that means a lot to us. It's really, really critical that we have that service and support, parts availability, so on and so forth.
Yeah. Mitch, as we close this thing out, I just want to thank you for allowing us to come in here and help share this story. It's absolutely amazing what you're doing. Are there any closing statements you'd like to say to the audience right now about who you are, Toolcraft, what you're growing into, and what the future looks like?
Yeah, so we're Toolcraft. We've been around since 1990, AS 9100 certified. If you want any more information about our products or equipment, our website is tcprecision.com.
Absolutely amazing, Mitch. You are incredible. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate your time every single time. It's the one thing we cannot manufacture or get more of. So for you sharing it with us, it means the world. Thank you so much.